Hello everyone, I hope you're all having a great day today, and in this video we're going to be doing a review for Batman Caped Crusader, a new 10 episode series that just dropped on Prime Video this month. Keep in mind there will be some spoilers for this show in this video, and to just kind of hop into the review, when the trailers first came out for this show, I was really excited. I thought it looked pretty fire, but did it live up to the hype? Not really. So when I started watching the first episode, the first couple minutes that I was watching of it, it seemed about right. And I definitely gotta say, with this show, I like how they did like a nice vintage setting that takes place in the 1940s instead of modern times. That's kind of unique. So just the environment seems right, and that's what I was thinking when I started watching this show. But I felt like the dialogue was a bit generic. It didn't seem like it was gonna turn into like this quotable show. But that's not the biggest deal. But the first huge red flag was pretty early on in the first episode when the Penguin turned out to be a woman. Now, certain qualities of the Penguin have changed throughout the years, but he's always been a dude. So I don't know why they would change that. Like, I mean, they wouldn't make Poison Ivy a guy. That'd be weird. So I just don't like when they make these changes to these characters. It's not an improvement at all. I know some people don't mind it, and I do understand. A lot of these characters, certain qualities of them have changed throughout the years, but I feel like this show treats its characters like they're completely open to interpretation, and I just don't like that at all. So I mentioned the Penguin. Obviously it changed from Oswald Cobblepot to Oswalda Cobblepot, but that character was just in the first episode. However, there were some other characters that I just feel like this show completely misunderstood as well. First of all, Harvey Dent, aka Two-Face, is kind of in throughout the show. And before his transformation into Two-Face, I feel like they just made him kind of seem like this corrupt jerk. And it's not until after he turns into Two-Face that they kind of establish a dual personality, that he kind of wants to help people, but he's also driven crazy. But before that, as I said, he just kind of comes off as a jerk. And it doesn't make it to where he has a fiance or wife or whatever. It doesn't like establish there's anyone that he cares about. So I just feel like the character development felt a little bit off. And then they did kill him off in the last episode, which they do that in series and movies all the time. They kill villains off shortly after introducing them. And I'm just never really a huge fan of that. But again, that's not the biggest deal. Another character in the show that I feel like they completely misunderstood was Harley Quinn. Now, the story for her that's been going on ever since she was a character was that she was kind of like this therapist that worked at Arkham Asylum that genuinely wanted to help people. And then the Joker kind of drove her crazy. They kind of fell in love and she became crazy like the Joker. However, the Joker wasn't even in the series. He was teased in the final episode, but other than that, he didn't really do anything in this show. So this version of Harley Quinn is like a therapist that is just trying to get revenge on rich people. And she's trying to keep it all a secret. And I just think it's weird, especially with her plan, what she does with the rich people. I kind of see what they're going for, but it just comes off as weird in my opinion. I might as well say also, this show just kind of feels a little inconsistent in tone. For the most part, it seems like it's trying to be more mature than typical animated series, but there's also a lot of parts in this series where I feel like it's targeted towards kids. Another character I feel like this show really misunderstood was Harvey Bullock. It makes it to where he's one of the corrupt officers working with Flash, who Flash was obviously a corrupt person throughout comic history, but Harvey Bullock kind of had this personality where he doesn't always get along with everyone, but he was never really meant to be this bad dude. And so that's just the main problem I have with this show. It just messes up all these characters. And then you had some other villains appear, like Firebug, which I thought was pretty good. I actually think he was the best villain in the show. And then you also had like the Headless Horseman, Ghost Dude, and Clayface, which they were fine, but their episodes kind of just felt like Scooby-Doo episodes, which isn't necessarily a bad thing because obviously Batman is a detective. And then I felt like the 8th episode with the fair was really weird because the villain was like this Wednesday Addams girl that was sucking souls out of children, and they kind of made the children there people from the Bat family, which I just think is a weird way to do it, but whatever. And I just thought that episode was really cringy. So maybe I set my hopes for this show too high, but it wasn't even solid. I mean, there might have been an episode or two that was solid. This show was a huge disappointment. It just really missed the mark for me. Now, not everything about it is terrible. As I mentioned, I like the vintage vibe. I think Hamish Linklater was good as Batman. I probably mispronounced his name, but I just think he did a really good voice performance, and I'm hoping that he will voice Batman in future DC projects. But in terms of his character development and that kind of stuff, you see some flashbacks of him as a kid, but I feel like it doesn't really dive too deep into the psychology of him. But again, as I said, he's really good as the voice of Batman, and I really like the Bruce Wayne persona. It feels like a different character. That's always a good thing. And then the action is fine. From the different superhero movies and TV shows I've watched, I've kind of noticed that whether or not the action is good depends less on the actual fighting and more on the story behind it. So when the story isn't compelling, it's not really that cool. But overall, that's just what I thought about it. On the quality scale of 0 to 100, we'll give it a 36%. If you've seen it, let me know what you thought about it in the comments section down below. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.